Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. For the longest time, the police unions, through their official mouthpieces, the white media, have been telling the public that police officers do a thankless job and they never ask anything in return, and they never expect that people are supposed to just thank them for doing their jobs. Yeah, well, in the last few years, as the thugs with badges, especially the white supremacist element among them, which seems to be the majority, have been coming under increasing scrutiny and now increasing punishment, the thugs with badges are singing a brand new tune. Now all of a sudden they want credit every chance they get. They want people to recognize them. They want people to see all the good they do. Oh, so it's no longer enough to be implied. Now we gotta see what these guys do. Except whenever we're subjected to some asinine, pitifully staged bit of civic theater on the police's part, and they always make sure that the white media cameras are close by and in tow, well, that always causes more questions than answers. For example, Bobby White. 5 years ago, Bobby White went viral. That means the white media publicized something that he did online when he decided that he was going to shoot some hoops with some neighborhood kids. And of course, he made sure to tell people, well, there was a 911 call that there were some loud kids in the street. And well, when I showed up, I didn't kill any of them. This is what he wants credit for. In other words, he wants people to thank him, not even for doing his job, but just for having common sense. He thinks that that's meritorious. This is what the white supremacists have done. This for them is where the bar should be set at. Well, if we show up and we don't kill any of these nigger kids, you guys should be singing our praises. That should go viral. Oh yeah, the white media made sure to give old Bobby White, what an appropriate name, gave him plenty of press. They want to make sure people saw this. Oh, you definitely need to know Bobby White. This is what police do every day. All that stuff about police brutality, and that's just the few bad apples. These cops, they're like Bobby White here. Why, no less than Shaquille O'Neal showed up to shake the hand of this clown. And of course, as we all know, Shaq, didn't he pretend to be a cop for a couple of years? Some police department had him there as their token mascot Negro. Oh yeah, the white media wanted to make sure everybody saw old Officer Bobby White, because this is what police do every day. Well, the white media was right. Bobby White is exactly what the thugs with badges do every day, but not because of that staged video shooting hoops with kids in the hood. Because, predictably, there was another video of Officer White, the friendly officer, this one from 2014, and it shows him stopping for no reason whatsoever and roughing up a 16-year-old because, as Officer White put it, the kid didn't have a proper lighting for his bicycle. Oh, and he claims that the kid ran a stop sign on a bicycle? Really? Well, the thing is, the department, of course, thought that nobody would know about it. They thought that they got away with something until, of course, that video came out. But the department made it very clear white supremacists are circling the wagons for each other. But, of course, Officer White, he wasn't done there. After the murder of George Floyd, people started asking the basketball cop about what he thought about what all was going on. And he first said, oh, I'm disgusted by the actions of this officer. I'm angry at the officers on the scene who didn't stop him. That's what he said at first. But then people started asking him whether or not the police were deliberately targeting black people. And that's when Officer White couldn't hold it in any longer. He couldn't pretend. He couldn't keep up a front any longer. And that's when the truth came out. He said there was no larger problem. My family's white and they're treated the same as black families by the police. Or as he put it, I'm a cop and my teenage son is white. I still had the talk with him too. It's because I know it's your actions that will get you shot, not your race. And that was deliberate that he did that. He's mocking the reality that black people have to live with because of white supremacist trash like him. Now, the bastard doesn't say anything about talking to his fellow thugs with badges, but with these white supremacists, truth is a foreign concept to them. But Officer White wasn't done with that. because more and more people began to criticize him and said, hey, this is your basketball cop here, huh? Yeah, you were just like the rest of them racists. We knew you were. And that's when he started posting articles from Breitbart. Now, I'm sure he'd been doing this stuff before. It's just a matter of now people started to notice it. And he's running around posting stuff about black on black crime and what about the thousands of black babies aborted every year. It's like the old saying goes, adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. You put these white supremacists under pressure where they got to declare where they stand, and that's when they show everybody what they've been about all along. It wasn't the questions from the public or the pressing from anonymous people on the internet that made him do this. This is what the bastard was all along. This is what this scumbag was from day one. It was a matter of the public calling the police to account. And he had a choice. Either you're going to be standing with punishing the police or you stand on the side of lawlessness. He made it clear he stood on the side of lawlessness. We're the thin blue line. Yeah, they're the line that separates society from justice. They're the ones standing between society and justice. Black people have every right to live their lives in peace. They have every right to live their lives without these ambush attacks and without this illegal harassment from garbage like this Officer White character. We also have the right to expect and to know that if some white supremacist race soldier calls himself harming one of us or violating our rights, that scumbag's going to be punished, and punished harshly. That brings us to the official sponsor of Black Empowerment, Power Tools. There's no telling when something's going to come up, so make sure you carry your power tools at all times. You never know when you're going to need to bring the hammer down, or when you'll have some trash that needs to be blown away, or some obstacle that requires cutting down. Don't get caught empty-handed. Keep your hammer close by. Keep that leaf blower at the ready. And always carry your steel. Power tools. Because no matter what your day job or side hustle may be, there's no excuse for not being ready to put in some work. You cannot say that justice has been done until the people who have been wronged say that it has been done. Anything less than that is a travesty of justice, a mockery of justice. But the point that I'm trying to get across, the reason for this morning's moment of truth, is that the entire reason that this Bobby White character became as well known as he did is because you had some black folks who did not teach their sons. You had some of these single mothers who didn't teach their sons that you do not have your children out here letting themselves be used for a police photo op. Now, if the police show up, the very first thing you're supposed to do is make sure that you get some adults out there. He is not supposed to be out there talking to those kids at all. Those kids are underage. He's not supposed to have anything to do with them whatsoever. But we know what the problem is. The problem happens to be we got the children being raised by single mothers. And it needs to be said, in most cases, they're depending either on the county for some sort of governmental aid, or they're wanting to make sure that they stay in the good graces of whomever their white supervisor or employer happens to be. So as soon as the police show up, because of the fact that she's been depending on some white hand to help her out her entire life, then what happens is as soon as Bobby White shows up, well, she's not telling her kids, this guy's a threat to you, you're in danger, you need to get with me. Instead, it's a matter of make nice with her now, don't you offend him now, you hear? You see, if we're going to be having the talk about what to do to hopefully make sure that Bobby White does not murder you in cold blood, we also need to make sure that we have a talk about what to do whenever you see a Bobby White attempting to use you for a photo op. Cop-aganda is not a victimless crime. It is no different than what the Nazis were doing in the 1930s, and I said it. By the way, that black teenager who Officer White had brutalized, naturally, of course, the police found no crime that the young man had committed. But by the same token, they also decided, well, we ain't doing nothing about old Officer White, 'cause he's out there just making sure the niggers know we can violate your rights with impunity. And just in case the police find themselves having antagonized so much of the public that the public decides that maybe, just maybe, these DAs are in cahoots with these murderers and these thugs. So if the police find that the public's turning against them to such a degree that they're in serious trouble, they'll decide, well, don't worry about it. There's some neighborhood kids around the way. Their single mothers haven't taught them any better, any differently, so we can use them for a quickie photo op, and nobody's going to object to it because they're going to be just relieved at the fact that this white supremacist thug with a badge showed up and didn't gun everybody down immediately. They'll just be glad that he didn't kill everyone on sight, as they always do. So understand that if it hadn't been for the fact that there were some people who made sure to put out the word about this Bobby White character, why the white media would still be singing his praises. They would probably have him on CNN saying, not all cops is bad. Jeffrey Toobin told us so. That's what they would be trying if they thought they could get away with it. So Bobby White wound up proving everything the black folks have been saying. We can be disgusted, though nobody with half a brain should pretend to be surprised. Cop-aganda kills. Cop-aganda is meant for the same reason that all propaganda is meant. It is meant to grease the skids. It is meant to lay the groundwork for the acts of brutality that are supposed to follow. I told you about how in 2016 I did a little bit of backtracking to find out the truth behind this disgusting post that had been put up on Facebook. You had this blonde, white police officer who a baby's parents had apparently overdosed, according to the cops. We don't really know what happened because cops could just as well be lying. But the claim they made was that the baby's parents had overdosed, and she just felt the need to pick up this little black baby. She couldn't help herself. And what a surprise, some of her fellow thugs in blue said, let's get the camera for this. We're going to post this online. And I told you about how this blonde cop woman's husband decided that he was going to be a one-man PR team for her. He started contacting every white person he could in the media on Facebook, and he was determined that he was going to try to find a way to get this on TV somehow. And of course, the white media was only too accommodating. Nobody bothered to ask the parents or the relatives of these babies what the world was going on and whether or not it was okay by them. That didn't matter. This was all about white supremacy fighting a race war. And the first part of every war is you got to get that propaganda offensive going first. You can't start the shooting and the killing proper until you start the propaganda offensive. You got to get that underway above all else. So that's the reason why they try to get their hands on every unprotected black baby that they can, so they can say, see, ooh, look at this. We got some cop holding some black baby for their own good. Why? We're here to protect these niggers from, well, we don't know, but we're here to protect them. And this isn't the only such instance of this kind of sickening behavior where they use a black baby for a racist photo op. In October 2020, you recall the beating of Rakia Young. This is a young woman in Philadelphia who had been trying to drive her toddler home when the thugs in blue in Philadelphia surrounded her car, yanked her out of it, and beat her violently. They decided that for a follow-up, they would take the baby out of the car and post a photo on Facebook with a lie saying that this baby was found wandering the streets barefoot. We're just trying to protect them. Meanwhile, the baby's mother is only feet away bleeding with the cops beating her halfway to death. She's since sued the city and got a settlement from them, but she's also sued the Fraternal Order of Police because they were the ones pushing these lies. This is what these police unions do. They are white supremacist propaganda organs. They need to be prosecuted under RICO statutes because that's what they are. This is a corrupt organization. This is a crime syndicate. These guys are racketeers. But this is how demented and vile these animals are. They deliberately target black babies. Well, on the rare occasion when they're not murdering them, a lot of black folks out there simply refuse to believe that white supremacy is at war with us. And they also refuse to believe that a lot of these folk who they see running up in their neighborhoods, calling themselves playing basketball with your kids or what have you, you are playing a very dangerous game, giving them the ability to do these little cop-aganda photo ops. The enemy understands full well why it is that they're doing this mess. But just like with Bobby White, and just like with that kidnapping piece of trash in Alabama, and just like with the thugs in the Philadelphia PD, they know what it is that they're really doing. They know what they're really up to. It's time that more and more black people knew, and it's time that we make sure we start telling black children what this is about. Those police are not supposed to be talking to black children for any reason whatsoever. We need to make it very clear. We understand that we are dealing with pure evil here. And there is no bottom for these creeps. They'll tell any lie that they can if they think they can get away with it. They tell lies merely as a matter of reflex. They do it because that's their nature. That's the nature of white supremacy, to lie, because white supremacy is a lie. I told you about on my Twitter page about how this whole hysteria about property crimes, oh, property crimes everywhere, they're breaking it everywhere, property crimes, I tell you, and that's why we need more cops. That whole propaganda line that came from the white media acting on behalf of the thuggish police unions, I posted for you on Twitter how even the LAPD had to admit, and I should say that the Los Angeles Times, one of the most police-friendly white media outlets in America, had to admit that property crime this year is down 6.6% from 2019. Robberies are down 13.6% from 2019. Burglaries are down 8.4% from last year and 7.7% from 2019. So what's all this property crime hysteria? This is what the police thugs want out there, because what they understand is if they don't do anything about this now, they're in a very precarious position where people are going to be looking and going, you know what? We need to defund these bastards, if not wholesale, have all of them have some sort of charges put against them. This is about trying to stop that train before it gets any farther. The Los Angeles Police Department is recognized and understood by the public to be a street gang, albeit one that the taxpayers are forced to subsidize. You take a look at MS-13 or the Latin Kings or any of these little, the triads, any of these little rinky-dink street gangs that you want, and you compare what they do to what the LAPD does and gets away with on a daily basis, and you will find the people of Los Angeles have a hell of a lot more to fear from the thugs with badges than they do from street gangs, because the street gangs claim that they're protecting their turf. Oh, they claim, though, we're protecting the turf. We're keeping order around here. Funny, that's exactly what the white supremacists with badges in the LAPD say too. Like with like, I suppose. But understand something. You can track a lot of the crime in Los Angeles directly back to LAPD headquarters. So make sure that you speak to your children. Let them know not to let themselves be used for cop-aganda. Talk to other black folks and let them know you better be on code. Letting your children be used as props for white supremacists to make some sort of half-baked photo op, that's off code. How do you know these cops are lying? When their lips are moving. Or when their hands are moving, that's when the lies are going down. Like when they try to claim that being a police officer is one of the most dangerous jobs in America. That's a lie. I was one of the first people to point out to you, all you got to do is look at the statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That makes it clear. The police don't even rate in the top 10 most dangerous jobs. Lies and phony hysteria, all meant to justify the crimes that they commit every minute of every day against black people. Oh, the police, we have a dangerous job and that's why we got to kill you niggers. Lie. Property crimes are up there breaking in people's houses every minute, every day. They're going to steal your TV. They'll steal your child too. Oh, you mean the Philadelphia police won't steal the kid first, or the Birmingham police won't steal him first? Is that what you mean? Well, you need us so that we can keep your house from getting broken into. Please, how many burglaries have these scumbags prevented? They haven't prevented a dang thing. And they almost never solve any cases either. But again, they're trying to justify making sure that they don't get punished because they know where this conversation goes. It's going to be one or the other. Either the police are going to be defunded or there's going to be mass punishment for them. One or the other. But we all got to do our part to make sure we keep the pressure on the bastards. Don't let the white media get away with telling you any tall tales about the police have such a dangerous job. Let me tell you something. The most dangerous job in America is being black. And the white supremacist thugs with badges are one of the main reasons why. And there's nothing phony about that. Good day, and be one.